Wink Murder. This activity takes a little bit more setting up because your students will need private messaging turned on to be able to take part. So check your settings to see if that's available to you. Next, the teacher needs to pick a murderer and a detective. You let these students know secretly what their role is, and then they need to then work with the rest of the class to play Wink Murder. So the idea is that the murderer will send private messages to a student at a time to tell them that they've been murdered by just sending the word wink. The person that's been murdered will do a very dramatic death on camera and then turn their camera off to show that they've been murdered. And then the detective has 3 tries to identify who the murderer is. If they manage to find the murderer, the game stops and you pick 2 new people to be the murderer and the detective. If they don't manage to find the murderer, they then continue until they've run out of their 3 guesses, and at that point the murderer has won, and then you again choose 2 new people to play the game. We're all allowed to know who the detective is, so is there anyone who would like to be the detective?
I can be.
Okay, Dom, you're the detective. I will send a private message to the person who is going to be the murderer, and I'll just tell you that you're the murderer. And then what you need to do is send private messages to people. Just send them the word wink, and then you have to, if you receive the message wink, you have to die dramatically, and Dom has to try and guess who the murderer is before the murderer kills everyone. Okay? Everyone understand how to play the game?
I imagine I get murdered last.
No, because you're the detective, so you're not. You don't get murdered. Your job is just to guess. Okay, you get 3 guesses to try and figure out who the murderer is. Okay, so I'm going to send a message to the person who's going to be our murderer.
And you're in the game as well, Stell.
Yeah, I'm in the game as well.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Just making sure in case you turn off and I'm like, I don't know where this is.
Okay, right, I'm sending the person that is the murderer now. Okay. So they'll know if they're the murderer, and that person now can start sending messages to people to tell them that they've been murdered by sending the word wink. And if they receive the message, you have to make a very dramatic death and then turn your camera off.
I'm dead.
There has been
I
a murder.
do doubly with authority declare that I think it's Laura that is the murderer.
Laura, are you the murderer?
One strike.
2 guesses left, Dom.
I'm going with Sophia. Are you the murderer?
Yeah.
It's not a very good one either. I'd have gone out on a real killing spree.
I thought about it 'cause I know
You were very
Tim
reserved
didn't
as a
really
murderer.
react much, and then obviously I thought it was Laura because she chatted. And Grace.
I thought Grace looked so shifty, and then